Hello everyone, today I'm gonna be going through the display inline block in CSS. So, compared to the display inline, the major difference is that the inline block allows us to set a width and height on the element that we are assigning the values to. Also, with the display inline block, the top and bottom margins or paddings are respected, but with display inline, they are not. So, I'm gonna give you a few examples. So first, I'm gonna be creating 3 div elements. Div, I'm gonna copy this 2 more additional times. And then inside of this, I'm gonna be typing some sample text. With VS Code, you can type in lorem and hit tab. So that's going to be my first paragraph. Then the second one. And the third one. By the way, you may have noticed that I disabled the live preview extension, and right now I'm using the live server extension, so I gotta press Ctrl S in order for the content to update. That's the only difference. So yeah, anyways, let's get to the first example. I'm gonna go to the first div element and I'm gonna find, let's say, this word. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna put it inside of a span element. So I'm gonna cut and paste, and I'm gonna give this span element a class of A. There we go. And then I'm gonna get another word. Let's say this one. I'm gonna cut it, create a span element, and paste it inside. The class will be A. There we go. Then I'm gonna add some headings also. So h2 display inline. Then after this one, I'm gonna add an h2 of display inline block. Alright, and after the last one, I'm gonna add a display block. So this will allow you to see the differences. Alright, so I'm gonna do the span thing on these other lines of text as well. By the way, I just noticed that the text, the sample text, they are all a little bit different. Well, that's okay. I'm gonna be using another word. I was gonna use the same ones, that one and this one, but I'm gonna pick some other words like this one. So yeah. Okay, so the class will be B for this one. I'm also going to take the next word, which is this one, cut it, paste it, and the class will be B. Okay, and then I'm gonna do this for, let's say over here, class will be C this time, and the next word is gonna be this, span class C, and put the word inside. Okay, now what this allows me to do is get the span elements and then the class inside of them. So I'm gonna go to the style sheet, which is already linked, and I'm going to go ahead and select span and then the A class. So what I'm gonna do on the A class is I'm gonna set the display inline. The width will be 100 pixels and the same goes for the height. I'm gonna add a little bit of padding, a border of 1 pixel solid, let's say pink. Alright, and then the background color will be light blue. Alright. What's going on? I'm gonna remove that. Alright, there we go. So now we can see that these two words over here, this is the default for span. So I can write it here. The default settings for span. There we go. What about if I take the span and the B this time? That's gonna be for the words minima and Ahmet in this sentence. So I'm gonna make the display inline block. Then the width 100 pixels as well as the height. There we go. I'm gonna add the same amount of padding and the border will be, let's say, 2 pixels solid pink. And the background color will be light blue. When I save, it will look like this. So right now the display is set to inline block, and you can definitely see that they have their own container. They are using the span element as their container. The size is 100 pixels wide and 100 pixels high. So yeah, the words have their own container over here. So this is the inline block value. So this is just to show the different behavior of display inline, inline block and block. So with the inline block, it will look like this. Span is inline block by default, so if I remove this, it's gonna look like that. I mean, span is inline, sorry. Span is inline by default. So when we set it to inline block, that's when the differences start to happen. Alright, let's take the class C. So I'm gonna go over here, span, take the class C, and then once again, this time I'm gonna make the display to be a block level element. The width will be the same. Actually, I can just copy the rest. There we go. So with display block, you can see that these are now taking up the entire width of the website. So they are now block level elements. They take the entire width of the website. Inline block only makes them take as much space as they need, but we do have the 100 pixels of height and width specified for these two, so they are also going to be visible. Over here we have the default settings, so there's really no difference. If I remove the padding, it's gonna look like that. So this is kind of the default. Alright. So now you know the differences between these values. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and give you another example. So I'm gonna remove all of this like that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna create an H2 element with some navigation links. Alright, then I'm gonna create an unordered list. It's gonna have a class of nav, like a navigation bar. Then I'm gonna create some list items that have an anchor tag inside. The href is gonna be a hashtag. It will not lead anywhere. They are empty anchor tags or links. And let's say that this one is gonna say home. I'm gonna copy this 3 more additional times. This one is going to be about us. Then this one will be clients and contact us. So now we have a navigation list over here. I can go over here. I can select the unordered list with the class of nav, navigation, And I'm gonna set the background color to pink. There we go. I'm gonna remove the bullet points, so list style type will be none. No more bullet points. I'm gonna text align center. There we go. Margin will be 0 and padding will be 0. Okay, so now we got these centered and they are in a column-like layout. I'm gonna take next the navigation class and all the list items inside of that. I'm gonna make the list items display inline block. Look what happens. Now they are displayed in a row. I'm gonna increase the font size a little bit and add some padding. Alright, so right now we have a pretty simple navigation bar. There's very many ways to create navigation bars in CSS and HTML, and this is one of them. So yeah, there's a simple navigation bar using an unordered list with some anchor tags. Alright. Okay, what if I set these to be only inline? Well, then it's going to look like that. Oh, the font size, that is not ignored, but the padding is. So there's no padding on the element. Well, now there is a little bit, but it has to be increased to huge numbers. What if I set these to be block level elements? Well, then they are all going to be taking up their own line of space. I'm gonna go to Dev Tools, and you can see that they are all having their own line. So they are block level elements. I'm gonna make them inline block once again. And now when we go to Dev Tools, they look like this. So yeah, another thing I want to show you is the flexbox. So we can achieve the same with something called flexbox. So I'm gonna take the navigation bar. I'm gonna remove the list style type, none. I'm gonna remove the bullet points. The background color will be pink. And then the display is gonna be flex. So there we go. We have achieved the same with flexbox. Alright, I'm also going to add some margin, let's say 10 pixels. So that is not gonna work on these. It will only add margin on the navigation bar, which is the unordered list. So if I go and inspect, it's gonna add margin to this element. However, I wanna add margin to these links. So for that, I gotta go and select the navigation class, then take all the list items, and I'm gonna add margin 25 pixels. So now there's 25 pixels of margin around every single one of these items. So we can confirm that by going to Dev Tools, opening the unordered list, and there you can see that. Alright, another way is to remove the styles from that, and then I can go ahead and add some margin, or actually padding. Padding inside of this, there we go, and then I can use the justify content space evenly. So now the display flex, the flex box, will lay these elements evenly on the container that they can use. The container in this case is the unordered list with the class of nav. So if we go to DevTools, we can see that these items are being shown on the page like this. they are spaced out evenly. We also have space between, that will look like that, and space around, that will look like that. I really prefer the space evenly because, well, it's spaced evenly. So yeah, that's another way of creating this same. The display flex is one of the most useful things in CSS, and we are gonna get into more detail about that. Anyways, this is gonna be it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you were able to learn something new from this one, and yeah, I hope I'm gonna see you in the next episode, and bye bye everyone, and have a wonderful day and happy learning.